Hey, everybody. Welcome into Sports Hub STL presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. And this is Domesticated Gamblers, your home for St. Louis sports gambling talk. I'm Eric Sontag. There's Shawn Surwillo and Tito Ulrich. And we are joining you here on Wednesday, June 4th. Because of some travel going on this week, we'll be back in our normal Friday time slot next week. But for today, we're going to break down this Cardinals-Royals game tonight down at Busch. We got St. Louis City SC going for 2 wins in a row when they meet the Portland Timbers on Sunday. Also on Sunday, it's the conference championship game of what conference is it, Tito? With the Battlehawks and the Defenders?
It's the XFL.
I knew you wouldn't let me down. That's coming up on Sunday. We'll break down that game. And then, of course, we have game 1 of the Stanley Cup final tonight and game 1 of the NBA finals tomorrow. We'll have picks for all of these games, along with our best bets and our home team plays of the week at the end of the show. Please hit that like button and subscribe to the Sports Hub STL YouTube channel and leave a comment on this video, and we can interact with you there. Domesticated Gamblers also available on podcast on Apple and Spotify. And our show today is brought to you by James Carlton with State Farm Insurance. Shawn, welcome back, brother. How was your trip? How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm still on vacation mode. When you're in Florida, you just kind of walk a little slower. Everything's a little slower, right? You pump your gas a little slower. You go into the store. In the first day when you get down on vacation, everyone's moving slow and you're kind of frustrated. Get out of my way, You kind of got that 9 to 5 in you. That's St. Louis. I'm a busybody guy, but we had a great time. We hit up Epic Universe. Fantastic, 90s kid here, so Mario World was incredible. I ran into Cody Rhodes, and I just want to give that guy a shout out. You run into a lot of stars in your life, and this guy was top notch, just ultimate pro. He was there with his family. It wasn't like a signing, and I said, SJ, there's Cody Rhodes, and he looked over and he goes, no, it's not. And then he finally realized it, and he was just like starstruck. And I said, well, go give him a fist bump. I didn't want to make a big deal of it because there wasn't a crowd around Cody. And he walked up and gave him a fist bump. And Cody grabbed him by the shoulders and said, you want a picture, champ? And it was just incredible. And, kudos to Cody Rhodes for being an ultimate pro. And we had a great time. Beach life was good. I had a little New York connection at a I like to pony up at a bar. I know you were at the game, Eric. And
Knicks Pacers game 3, right?
Yeah, game 3. This has been a while. So I pony up at the bar. I see this guy's got a Yankees hat on. And I start chatting with him. And, this guy's just incredible, total New Yorker. I tell him my last name. And he goes, oh, of course you're a gambler. Your last name ends in a vowel. So just incredible. Sorry you lost that bet, but the Pacers did get that home. So all is well in the world. I'm ready to cash some bets. One thing I want to say here, I'm sitting on the beach and I really thought about why the audience should listen to me as a gambler is I don't really stick to the narrative. This was the Cardinals season. The narrative was this was going to be a bad team. I didn't believe that. And as a gambler, you have to see through the narrative, right? When we watch ESPN, what are we seeing right now about ESPN, about NFL? Shedeur Sanders, no balls hitting the ground. They're pumping up the Browns. Browns are going to be terrible. Don't listen to the noise. Don't listen to the narratives. And that's why folks need to stick with me and put their money on these best bets. And, we've been cashing. Eric likes to dig into the numbers. Tito's a little more the narrative guy, but he's catching on a little bit. And that's just one thing I reflected on sitting on the beach about me as a gambler.
I love that. That is very true. Don't always fall victim to the narrative. Tito did not. We actually cashed on that narrative last week with the new manager bounce, Shawn, with St. Louis City SC. Tito, he was just an angry, disgruntled fan. He said, I'm not betting on this team. He took San Jose and he lost. So Tito, did you learn anything last week with that?
No, I didn't learn anything. No, I'm sticking to my guns. I went against the narrative last week, and so I'm going to stick with the narrative. I'm going to stick with my opinions, and it's just one bad week for Tito. So no skin off my back. Shawn, I'm glad you're back from vacation. Glad you're able to cash some bets. And geez, I can't believe the the amount of ego that you got going. Oh yeah, everyone should have followed Mr. Sharp. Oh, everyone, they're gonna cash all those bets. My goodness, where's the humble pie at? My goodness.
Well, I've been tracking, I always track, but the last 2 months or so, I'm at 68%. So it's an incredible number. And also, Tito, I was sitting on the beach and I went to Epic. My gambling winnings paid for that trip 100%. And, I was replaying things Eric said about he likes to win at gambling to be, winning. I like to win for passive income. That's it. That really is what I like. And, I'm doing it. So that's why you should follow me. But that manager bump, I've been calling for that for about a month, and sure enough, it hits. And boy, that was just, like Eric hit that Pacers futures bet. When those things work out, it's incredible. And that's why I love sports gambling.
Yeah, it's just very, very gratifying when you really have a strong feeling about something and it comes to fruition. See you rocking the City shirt today to support that winning bet
Yes.
on City last week. So we'll get to them here in just a little bit. But let's get going with our home team coverage. And it is brought to you by James Carlton with State Farm Insurance. And guys, I know that things are getting more expensive these days in most aspects of our lives. Well, I want to tell you a little story about how that doesn't need to be the case when it comes to your auto and home insurance. And I think this just really gives a good illustration of what James Carlton is all about and why you should do business with him and his team. So my story with James started a couple of years ago. And I had heard him advertising other places, so I contacted his office to get a quote. I sent him and his team what I was doing with my insurance at that time, said, hey, if I get this exact same coverage with you, can you save me money? And the guy from James' office I talked to said, you know what? You got a great policy with this other company. We actually cannot beat that price right now, but can I give you a call back about a year from now just to check in and see if we can help you then? I said, sure, absolutely. Appreciate you being honest with me. And it was super refreshing to just have someone be upfront with you like that. So fast forward about a year later, I'm down at Disney World with my wife and daughter. It was this past December. And I'm actually inside the big golf ball at Epcot. Like I can picture it in my mind where I was. And my phone rings and I recognize the number right away because I've heard it on advertisements for years now. I know it's James Carlton's office because it's 314-961-4800. So I don't pick up because I'm with my family, but I listen to my voicemail later. And it was James' office saying, hey, I know we talked about a year ago. Just seeing if you want me to run a quote for you to see if we can save you money in 2025. So first of all, obviously super impressed with the follow through that he actually called back like he said he would. He followed up again a few days later while I was still at Disney and just this really like professional, non-pushy manner, which I really appreciate. And I said, you know what, when I get back to St. Louis, I'm going to call him back because I appreciate the professionalism and the follow through. And I am glad I did because I gave them a copy of the renewal notice I'd gotten from my old agent that had a huge increase from the prior year. James' office ran a quote for the exact same coverage, and turns out I could save over $800 for 2025 by making the switch to James Carlton and State Farm. So that is exactly what I did. Super easy process to make the switch. I now have my home and auto policies with James Carlton, and I got an extra $800 in my pocket this year because of it. Guys, it takes like 5 minutes to get a quote. It's so easy. And I look at it between the quote process, a couple phone calls, and a few emails to get things started. I probably spent less than an hour on this, and I made over $800. Like, would you do an hour of work for $800? I know I would. So make sure, get a quote from James Carlton today to see if he can save you money like he did for me and for Tito as well, because Tito made the switch too. Mention Domesticated Gamblers or Sports Hub STL, and they'll make a donation on your behalf to Mizzou's NIL fund. The phone number 314-961-4800 or online at carltoninsurance.net. If your insurance costs a leg and an arm, call James Carlton, State Farm. And guys, let's get started with these St. Louis Cardinals as they continue their series tonight against the Royals. Really bad loss last night as the Cardinals blow a 5-run lead and fall 10-7. Tonight it is Miles Mikolas on the mound up against Noah Cameron. Mikolas definitely shaky in his last start against the Orioles, but he didn't let it get out of hand. It was 4 runs on 9 hits in 4 innings, but the Cardinals were able to come back and win that game. As for Cameron, Cardinals faced him in Kansas City last month, and he was outstanding. 6 1/3 innings, just 1 run on 2 hits, but the Cardinals were able to win that game as well. So the Redbirds are a minus 125 favorite tonight. The Royals a plus 105 underdog. Your total is set at 8.5. The over is at plus 100, and the under's juiced up to minus 120. So, Shawn, I'm going to start with you because you've been on these Cardinals from the start of the year. What do you got on this one?
Well, Tito, we made it to June. So it's not just wedding season, Tito, it's prospect season. That's what we get here in June. We get the prospects. Jack Caglione is called up. This is one thing I want the Cardinals to transition here. We talk about the young players. It's time to start seeing more rookies called up a little sooner than later. The Cardinals really struggle with that, keeping a lot of guys in the minors. I think that was one of Mosaic biggest downfalls as a GM, keeping these guys down too long. We saw that with Tommy Pham. We've seen him with other players. So I really hope, as he's sitting across there watching the Royals bring up their number one prospect from last year, that he starts moving in that trend. So what I got tonight, I got this one already in pocket, Eric. I like the Cardinals money line. I got it at minus 125. That one's in pocket already. I do think Miles Michaelis has a bounce back game. He's pretty good at home. Royals kind of BABIP'd us to death last night. There were some hard hit balls for sure. Jack Caglione, he hit one of the third hardest balls for the Royals all season last year to shortstop. He had a couple other hard hit balls. Strikeout rate is going to be maybe a problem for him, but he can hit the ball hard. That's one thing he's good at. But I like the Cardinals tonight. I got this in pocket. And I do think we need to cool our expectations with the Birds a little bit. We played 800 ball there for a while, for about a month. So we're due for some regression. But long term, still feel good about this team being in the wild card hunt most of the year.
So Michaelis in his last start, obviously not sharp. You're kind of viewing that as a blip rather than, kind of the start of regression, or what do you think there?
Yeah, Baltimore moved the fences in a little bit. That offense was due for some positive regression. They had been struggling. And Michaelis is pretty good at home. I feel pretty good tonight. I think we get a bounce back win. The I-70 series means a lot to both these clubs. So I think we win this one, and it's 1-1 series. And then we go into tomorrow. And who's on the bump tomorrow? We got...
It's going to be Reagan's and Libby tomorrow.
Yeah, and Reagan's coming off IL stint. So I don't know. I don't know about that one. We'll see. Reagan's probably going to be pumped up to get back on the mound, but maybe only a 5-inning start. So maybe look to cash some of his unders tomorrow. But, yeah, I feel good tonight. I like the Birds a lot. It's one's already in my pocket.
Man, so Shawn's on the Birds. Yeah, they have shown good bounce back ability this season after tough losses. Tito, what do you think here?
I am not optimistic at all. No Cameron, guy's been lining it up as of recently. Last 5 starts have shipped the under in all of his last 5 starts. So I'm definitely not optimistic about tonight. I'm kind of nervous about Michaelis in regards to his last performance. I know he's been dominant the last several outings before, but I know that there's some Jonathan India against Michaelis has got his number. There's some big stats for him out there. So if you're looking for a fantasy or a player prop, look at Jonathan India for maybe over on total basis is something I'm looking at. So definitely like that. But I'm not optimistic about tonight. Last night kind of gave me some really, really bad memories in regards to what this team has been like the last several years. So I'm not optimistic at all. So I know, and the Milwaukee Brewers all of a sudden are 8-2 in their last 10, and the Chicago Cubs are doing nothing but winning. So I think right now the division is looking kind of out of hand. 5 games back at the start of Flag Day, so it's got me kind of pessimistic. My under bet doesn't look promising, but as long as we can stay in contention with the wild card, maybe Mosaic can actually make a move at the trade deadline. I know I saw an article earlier where he's thinking about being buyers, and to Sean's point, it's prospect season, so where the hell? Let's send down Palante. This guy, he can't hold a 5-run lead. I mean, what are we doing over here, Palante? Bring up some, I don't even know the guy's name in the minor leagues that has been dominant every time they bring him up and they ship him back down. So it's time for him to be called up all the way, Daddy.
McGreevy.
So McGreevy, thank you very much, both of you. So bring up McGreevy and let's see these Cardinals soar. But I'm not optimistic about tonight, Easy.
Yeah, Brendan Schaefer, good piece on sportshubstl.com this morning about potential of McGreevy coming up, but not to replace Palante, but become part of his 6-man rotation as the Cardinals have a really busy schedule here in June. I don't mind that one bit. I feel what you're saying, Shawn, about tempering expectations a little bit. Like, I don't think I don't think any of us are saying this is a playoff team. No one was saying, Tito obviously was not saying this is a playoff team before the season with the under 75.5. And Shawn, like you said, this was an above 500 team. That's someone that could stay in contention. But, I think playoffs is probably pushing the envelope a little bit too far. But I think over 500 is a realistic goal for this season. I think that this team can and almost at this point should achieve. I do think this is a big start for Michaelis. He's been so good most of the season. But again, he got hit pretty hard that last start in Baltimore. So I think we start to kind of find out tonight if that was just the blip, like I mentioned, with the regression underway that so many of us have been expecting. I think we're starting to see with Palante. Shawn, we talked about it. Once the weather heats up, that this ball is going to start flying. It was probably the hottest night of the season last year at Busch, and we see 17 runs scored. So, this is something to look at. I don't think it's going to be quite as hot at home tonight. So I think there's just a lot of unknown here with Michaelis and what we're going to see tonight. So for that reason, I think this game is probably going to be a pass for me. I don't love anything here, but I would lean over because I just don't believe that Michaelis is a threes ERA pitcher at this stage of his career. I think he can still be solid, but even if he goes 5 or 6 innings and gives up 3 runs, we're still in okay shape for an over. And if he gets blown up, like we're almost definitely going to get an over here. And I just have a feeling the Cardinals put up some runs on Cameron tonight. It sounds like, Shawn, you agree with that, liking the Birds. Dude's been super impressive, like a 1.05 ERA so far this season, but the Cardinals are seeing him a second time now. And I think that gives them an advantage. I think they'll have a good plan against him. And Cameron only has 16 strikeouts in 25 and 2/3 innings. So it's not like he's overpowering and blowing these guys away,
Yeah, he's due to get hit hard. And last night what we saw was the Royals were pumped up for Jack. I mean, you could see it on the bench. That's kind of like a new manager bump.
Yeah.
He had it last night. They were pumping this dude's hand. He come back in the dugout after a ground ball, and they were fired up. They were pumped up. So there was energy. There was life. This still is a bad Royals offense. So I expect tonight things get back to normal. Michaelis does what he does. He goes 6 innings. He gives up 3 runs. We win this game. I think we win a 5-3 game. Long term, definitely worried about the ball flying out. Palante pitched very good last night. It looked like the Royals picked up on a tell. He pitched very good until what was the 5th inning.
He had a stretch.
He had given up 2 runs. Yeah. He had made 13 outs in a row. So he did pitch very well after the 2 runs. And Ali kind of let him hang out there a little bit to dry. You could tell they were picking the ball up a little better in the 5th. They should have pulled him. It's okay. It's one game. Move on. He 9 times out of 10, he gets out of that thing. There was a lot of bloop hits, a lot of broken bat hits, just BABIP to death. So it's okay. Those things are going to happen over 162. No big deal. And that Texas series, we were in Baltimore and travel all the way to Texas. Those things catch up to the team. I'm not worried about that at all. That was a tired team. It's okay. We had 7 runs last night. You usually win that game.
Tito, it sounds like you're not on board with the BABIP talk.
Yeah, what the fuck are we talking about BABIP again? My goodness, what is that? Batting average with balls in play or some nonsense like that? I mean, What a bunch of woof.
Yeah, I think last night, and Marmol mentioned it in the post game, probably in normal circumstances, he would have pulled Palante a little bit earlier, but they are starting a really, really rugged stretch of games here in June. And I don't think he didn't want to burn through the bullpen that early. Palante, he's been pretty consistent in almost every start. He's given up between 2 and 4 runs. So it kind of got away from him last night. I don't mind that he left him, man. I see the reasoning for it. But yeah, I could definitely see the Cardinals winning this one tonight. Like Cameron, this is not the next coming of Sandy Koufax. Okay. Like career ERA in the minors is 3.90. So this is not like a 1 or 2 type ERA pitcher. So I don't love this, but I lean over 8.5 in this game. And Tito, yeah, I was looking at the player prop market as well for people, if you're looking for another play, if you don't like the side of the total. I saw the same exact thing you did with Jonathan India, who had 3 hits last night. Obviously a longtime Cincinnati Red, so Michaelis has faced him a bunch. The numbers, India in his career against Michaelis, 8 for 25. That's a 320 average with 3 home runs. Dang. So if you're looking for a prop play, I saw the same thing, Tito, the total bases prop, over 1.5 total bases at plus 120, I think is a good option. He's got the good history against Michaelis, and he's hot right now too with 9 hits in his last 23 at bats for a 391 average. That's something like when I'm starting to look at player props, I think I've kind of progressed as a gambler because I used to just look at like the history. And I was just like, if someone had a good history, I'm like, oh, fire the bet. But Shawn, you like to say when you're hot, and when you're cold, you're cold. And if you have great history against a pitcher, but you're ice cold, I feel like that kind of cancels itself out. But if you got good history against a pitcher and you're hot, like India is here, I think that might be the right time to make a play. So what do you think on that, Shawn?
Yeah, I love that you're progressing there. That's something I've talked to you about. Sometimes you get so deep in those numbers. Well, a stat 5 years ago doesn't matter when you're 0 for 30. You know,
Right.
You're ice cold. You're not seeing the ball well. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I tonight for me, I got 2 units on the cards at minus 125. I love the value there, especially in baseball, home team. I just that line, that money line right there is perfect for me to make a 2-unit bet. And I also am betting this. You're gonna like this, Eric. I've got 1 unit on the run line at plus 165. So this is a little different gambling. I don't talk a whole lot about this, but this is a pretty large lean for me tonight. So this is the way I'm going to attack it.
Ooh, man, I like to see that. Yeah, go ahead,
folks. Like if you want to win long term in MLB, you can't lay odds all the time. You have to take the house money. I know Eric's been pumped up about that Pacers bet, and I'm glad he hit it because now he can see when you're taking advantage of the house, it's free money, and this is how you win over 365 days. So you can't lay the odds all the time. You got to look at run lines sometimes and cash in on the house's money.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. Like I said, the Cardinals they've been very, very resilient this year when they have a bad loss to really bounce back the next day. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. Tito, I think I might throw a sprinkle on that India prop at the plus 120 on the total bases. Like I said, 3 hits last night. He doesn't really hit for a lot of extra base hits, but 2 singles tonight, gets at home. You know, he's at the top of the lineup. He's probably going to get 5 at bats. I think that's a pretty sharp play for this game. So props to you for pointing that out. Yeah. So I just always love looking at player props because, you know, like I say, you don't always need to have a great feeling on who's going to win the game or, you know, how many runs are going to be scored. You can just use that prop knowledge and cash in with DraftKings Pick 6. So download the DraftKings Pick 6 app today. It's the easiest way to play for cash and take a shot at a big win. Just select 2 or more players and choose if they have more or less of a stat. So I'd be looking at that over 1.5 total bases prop for Jonathan India tonight. Also love Nick Pivetta. He's been a fantasy darling of mine this season for the Padres. I like him to have more than 6.5 strikeouts tonight against the Giants. Giants are a top 10 team in MLB in striking out. So those are the types of things you can do to have tons of fun and get all kinds of player prop action with DraftKings Pick 6. It is available in most states, including right here in Missouri. Also California, Texas, Georgia, and more. New players get $50 in Pick 6 credits instantly on just a $5 entry. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and use code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to play $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, guys, let's talk St. Louis City SC, and the winless streak is over. As I mentioned at the top of the show, Shawn, you and I feeling pretty good for cashing in on that new manager bounce last week. I think that is kind of an illustration. You and I are seasoned gamblers. We know this situation. The bounce, it's a real thing. Tito just said no to it, and it sounds like you're bullish. You don't think this was a bounce situation. So what do you attribute this win to, Tito, last week?
Absolute
just luck.
Absolute luck. We had to have had the referee Ismir Pekmik. He was in our pocket all day long. That phantom penalty kick foul they give the city at the end of the game, big woof in extra time. My goodness, how much money did they spend on making sure that guy made that call? That's what I want to know. I'm investigating that right now, Daddy.
I'm loving it. I've just had a really great read on City. Now 8-2 in my last 10 picks on their games. And I want to mention this because we do these shows once a week. So we only talk about a few games, but I do gambling previews for every single game the local teams play. You can see it on the screen here to check out my plays on the daily at sportshubstl.com. So I write breakdowns. I give picks or leans for every game with the Cardinals, City, and the Battlehawks. I do with the Blues when they're in season, also with Mizzou and SLU. And since Sports Hub STL started back in February, my picks for the website have a record of 52-40. That's a 56.5% hit rate. And I'm up over 8 units with an ROI of over 8%. If you are not familiar with how records work with sports gambling, that's really fucking good. All right.
Yes.
Like anything over 55% when you're betting most things around minus 110, like I do, is outstanding. And like with an ROI of over 8% in sports gambling, I mean, if you're invested in something as fun as being able to watch sports and bet on sports and you got an over 8% return on your money, I think you'd be pretty damn happy. So like I'm crushing it right now, and I'm all about being tracked and transparent when it comes to sports gambling. Shawn, you talk about how important it is to track your plays. And I just think it's super important to be honest with your audience with a platform like this, because there are a lot of frauds out there in this business. So all my website plays are tracked in my Twitter bio, which is @GamblingDads. If you want all my plays for all sports, you can follow me in the Action Network app. My handle there is Sontag, and you can see there I'm up over 27 units since starting to track my plays on that app last year. So thank you, Indiana Pacers, for about half of that profit, by the way. So quick plug there. Make sure to check out my plays and all the great St. Louis sports content at sportshubstl.com. And let's talk about this game on Sunday.
Yeah, hold on 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Eric.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you've been doing an incredible job, and some of my recent success, I've been reading your articles and following along because I'm not sharp at soccer. I'm not a fraud. I don't talk about things I'm not sharp at. I'm not. But there's sometimes I'm like, man, Eric's really heavy on this play. I'm going to throw a unit on it. So you've been crushing it. It's been great. And I do love the transparency, but I want to ask you something, Eric. If you had to pay a 25-cent tax for each bet you had to make, would you do it?
I'd have to look at it, but probably no, because you would have to adjust.
There's a bill in Illinois about to be passed where they're going to pass 25-cent tax for each bet made. For the first 20 million. After that, it's 50-cent tax. So I was listening to VSiN Network, and they had the GM of Circa on, and he said if they were just now entering Illinois, they would not enter the market because of this tax. This is nothing but greed, and Pritzker needs to do the right thing here. The money flow has been incredible for Illinois from the gambling perspective. I'm all about making sports legal in every state, but this is just greed, and this is going to lose. You're going to lose out here. This is terrible. You can't win as a gambler doing this. This is not right.
It was interesting because I know before really sports gambling became legal in most states in our country, a lot of people would bet at offshores, places like Bovada, places like that. And if you put in a credit card deposit, they're charging you a several percent processing fee. And so you're already starting way behind trying to make up. I mean, it's hard enough to beat the house at minus 110 odds. You add on an extra tax that just makes it even tougher.
Yeah, I just want to talk about that. That's brutal, man. That's nothing but greed there. And if that gets passed, it's going to hurt Illinois. It's going to hurt them bad. A lot of the books are going to be getting out of there.
That's one thing I've learned from doing these write-ups every day for sportshubstl.com and using DraftKings exclusively for the book. You can, when you have legal books at your disposal, you have all these different options, you can get a lot more creative and use those coupons like I like to talk about, where you don't have to necessarily bet the Cardinals on the money line at, say, minus 125, minus 130 tonight. You could just combine it with a coupon like both teams to score in the game. And you're going to bring that down to probably plus 100 and maybe even plus 105. I'd have to look and see what that would be. But so if you have that option with something where you can really use a coupon like that, and it's very unlikely that the Cardinals are going to win this game via shutout. If you're betting on DraftKings, why not do a same game parlay? If you like the Cardinals on the money line, add on both teams to score in the game, and you get a much, much better price. I think you're going to be, every once in a while, it's not going to happen often. Every once in a while, the Cardinals might win a game if you make that bet. Maybe they win 5-0 and you lose that bet. But I've used that strategy many times writing these articles on sportsofstl.com, and I don't believe I've been burned one time with like the highly likely part not hitting. So this is something I think, we're learning it too as we go along. Now that we're going to have these legal books at our disposal, you got to be a little more creative. If you're betting things at around plus 100 as opposed to betting minus 130, you're going to be much more profitable in the long run. Does that make sense, Shawn?
Oh, yeah. And I just hope states don't catch on to this. This is nothing but greed. The player can't pay 25-cent tax on every bet for the first 20 million bets. And then after that, it's 50 cents. You can't make money. You'll lose. So people will be going back to offshore. They will be going back to using bookies. This isn't good. This is not a good bill, and I hope Pritzker doesn't sign it for us gamblers.
Yeah, interesting concept. Thanks for bringing it up. Yeah, something to monitor for sure. And actually, I think this game on Sunday with St. Louis City SC on the road to the Portland Timbers is a pretty good example of what I'm talking about, because the Timbers are a minus 140 favorite here. Even if you like the Timbers to win, I just feel like minus 140 is not that great of a price to lay. So I'm interested to get your thoughts on this team, Tito, and this game in particular with the Timbers at a minus 140 favorite. City to win the game is plus 290. The draw is plus 285, and the total is set at 3. The over's juice there at minus 130. The under's at minus 110. So, Tito, what do we make of this? It sounds like you thought there was a lot of luck involved in that win against San Jose, which I do agree with, that there was a lot of luck factor involved with that. So, do you think this team can win 2 games in a row, or what do you got here on this game with Portland on Sunday?
Well, they need to. If they want to make the playoffs, they need to win 2 games in a row. This is a big-time matchup. I think they're 6 points out of a last playoff spot, so they definitely need to string together some wins. Critchley, I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything dynamic offensively or defensively. Giving up a second half goal when you're trying to pack it in. Big woof on that. Klaus finally got in the scoring sheet, so I'm not optimistic whatsoever. Portland's a fairly solid team. They're not anything to go home about. They're not Inter Miami or anything like that, but they're a solid team. They can score some goals. So it'll depend on who they have at their disposal. I see that Bloom has come back to City SC, and this Thorson fellow last year that we transferred over to an outside team. This guy has finally been gone. They finally sold his ass off. So that guy couldn't score for his life depending on it last year. So there was some City news recently that they got Tito all fired up, but this team, I'm not quite sure. I'm not sold on what they can do. So they're going to have to prove it to me again this Sunday against Portland, and maybe they'll surprise some people and score more than 1 goal and not get shut out. But I'm not optimistic, Daddy.
So are you comfortable laying the minus 140 on Portland to win the game?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, especially when Portland's at home. I think they've lost 1 game on the at home. So
yeah, that's it.
They're 4-1-2. So they definitely are pretty solid, at home. So I'm definitely comfortable laying those odds and going with the Timbers money line.
Yeah, like we talk about, you don't want to be laying minus 140 all the time, but you can definitely pick your spots, and you're right. The Timbers have only lost 1 game at home this season. Shawn, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, the coach bump is a real thing, but it's only a real thing for about 1 game. That's what we've learned over the years of gambling. So, fade City. It's a bad team. They got a coach bump. That's the only reason they won this game. That's it. Coach bump lasts about 1 game. That's all we got. I still think they're a bad team. So, I'm fading City. I would take I'm with you. It's just a little bit high.
Yeah.
I'm seeing 135 now. But if you're looking for some action, that's the only way I would take it.
Yeah, I'm just really struggling with this one because I do think the Timbers are going to win, but I just don't feel convinced of that enough to want to lay the minus 140 or minus 135, whatever it is now. I do agree with you, Shawn. I just have a feeling that new manager bounce for City is just a 1-game thing. Because frankly, I just don't think they played that great against San Jose. Really, both goals were because of mistakes by the goalkeeper. So definitely a luck factor there, but I give City credit. I think they made their own luck. They did a much better job of getting balls in the box, which I love to see. You do that, good things are going to happen. But I still just don't think we have enough finishing talent on this team for this to last. So I don't think I'm going to bet this. I know we still got a few days before the game. I just think this game is more of a wait and see for me because maybe like the vibes are good for City and they can carry this over and get a result. But my lean for this game, I would take Portland to win and the game to go over 1.5 goals. And that's a better price of even money plus 100. So that means a Timbers win by any score other than 1-0 is a winning bet. Like I think 2-1 Portland is probably the most likely final in this game. And Portland's a good team. Like 5th place in the Western Conference. Tito, very good at home, like you mentioned, where they've only lost once all season. The only loss was to Vancouver, first game of the season. Vancouver's the best team in the West. So, yeah, the record is 4 wins, 3 draws, and just that 1 loss at home. But, I mean, if you bet the money line, they're only cashing the money line in 50% of their home games because a draw is not a push. A draw is a loss if you take the money line. So, just City, I like that they didn't play so passively against San Jose. So, like, it would not surprise me if they create some more of their own luck again and they get like a 1-1 draw here. So, that's why I don't think I'm going to bet it. But again, like my lean for this game, Portland to win and the game to go over 1.5 goals. You can get that at plus 100 on DraftKings. It's possible Portland wins at 1-0, and then I'm sitting there with egg on my face. But I don't know. There's something to that, Tito. Like, don't you think? Like, I don't know what the numbers are, but they got a lot more balls in the box. They weren't as passive, wouldn't you say, with the way they played in that game?
They were more aggressive. Yeah, they were trying to get the ball deeper into. They weren't playing the Melberg style, packing it in and hoping to get lucky with a ball over the top. So I definitely agree with that analysis. But again, when you can't finish, when you don't have superb playmakers that can just create opportunities. I think Pompey was the only guy that can actually create consistent opportunities like that. I mean, Clouds can't create. Betcher can't create. Toyshirt has been a big whoop. I'm not optimistic about the health of this team. Man, you're seeing guys going down left and right with the hamstrings or cramping. So there's something that's got to give there. So definitely not optimistic with that we can stay healthy for the entire 90 minutes. And unless Berkey can pitch a shutout and we can get lucky with a set piece goal by Leuven, it's not promising. I'm not optimistic.
Yeah, Tito, they weren't so passive because of that coach bump. That's what happens. You get a little energy when you bring a new coach in. It's exactly what happens. So the team played with a little bit more heart. I'm with you, though, Eric. I like where your head's at on that, breaking that down, getting rid of that minus 135 number.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. Well, let's talk about this big game at the Dome on Sunday. Tito, I need you again. It's the Battlehawks and Defenders. They're playing for what championship again?
The XFL Conference Championship.
Yes. So this is the 3rd meeting this season between the Battlehawks and Defenders. The winner moves on to the UFL Championship Game on Saturday, June 14th. Also at the Dome against either Michigan or Birmingham. Yeah, taking a look at these future odds on DraftKings to win the title. Battlehawks still the favorite, but it is tight. Battlehawks plus 200 to win the title. Birmingham plus 235. Michigan plus 255. DC a little further back at plus 450. So for this game on Sunday, Battlehawks come in as a 3-point favorite. Total is set at 46.5. Shawn, you've been giving out winning plays on these Battlehawk games almost every week. So what do you have for us here on Sunday?
Yeah, it's a good defensive team. They can run the rock, and in a league like this, that's going to win ball games. I love the Battlehawks -3. We don't have the hook there, so the hook means 3.5, Tito. So we got no hook. We're straight at 3. I like the Battlehawks a lot. I just think it's a match made in heaven, and I do think we deserve a parade down Market Street. St. Louis City needs this. We went through a devastating tornado not long ago, and the city needs something to cheer about. And I think it'd be all right if we got 15,000, 20,000 down Market for the Battlehawks, baby. We need this. And, it's also an FU to Stan Kroenke, and this is going to happen. We're going to win the whole damn thing. We're plus 200 here. We're playing the longest odd team, DC, so I think we definitely get this one home, and we're playing in the title game at the Dome, baby. This thing's going to be rocking. I hope they bring the Rock out, and he smells what's cooking in St. Louis. This could be incredible. I just think it's made to happen, right? Everything's set up. Eric, you talked about it 2 weeks ago. the schedule makers did us a lot of favor. We're playing every game at home pretty much the last 5 weeks. It's incredible. So we're going to get this thing done, and I like this for a 2-unit play, Battlehawks -3.
And my wife was asking me at dinner last night what I wanted for Father's Day. I said, I want the Battlehawks to win this game against DC because the title game would be the day before Father's Day on that Saturday. And I remember saying the same thing last year, and they lost in the semifinals, didn't get my opportunity to go. But if they're playing for a trophy, the championship on the line, the day before Father's Day, I'm going to be there. I've decided that's when I'm going to make my maiden voyage of the Battlehawks game. So hopefully they get it done. Tito, do you agree with Shawn? Do they get it done here?
Yeah, I think so. I think the writing's on the wall. This team is got it. Anthony Beck is on a mission. This is the hottest team in the UFL. I think they're 4-1 against the spread when they're favored by 3 points or more. So the bookmakers are definitely they're putting the writing on the wall as well. So definitely love the Battlehawks at home. Jordan Tamu, the first ever Battlehawk quarterback, he's gonna get lit up. And I love the Battlehawks, baby. Call is the law.
God, I hate to be the wet blanket. I'm just not as convinced. Like, I remember thinking, remember when the Battlehawks were 2-0? And on this show, I said, like, I think we might have a juggernaut on our hands here with this team. And then it was DC that came in to the Dome. It was week 3, and they smacked the Battlehawks around. It was 27-15 was the final. I watched the whole game because I'm like, I'm on board with this team. And it was a dominant performance by DC. Battlehawks just couldn't get anything going. Game really shouldn't even have been that close. I looked back. The yardage was in favor of DC, 346 to 173. DC had 22 first downs. The Battlehawks had only 7. Battlehawks did have 4 turnovers in that game. So it's possible it was just a bad day at the office. Shawn, I remember you saying that. Quarterback in that game was Manny Wilkins too. It was the next week where he got hurt. So maybe it was just a one-off game and it doesn't mean much. Last week, like, Battlehawks won at DC 13-8. That game means absolutely nothing. It was a bunch of backups playing in a monsoon. I don't know if you guys saw that. Like, I flipped on that game late in the first quarter and I saw the rain. I'm like, oh my God, this is like best bet. The under was like best bet, lock of the week type material. But at that point, it was too late to bet it. So, like, I was pissed. It was just a lean for me and not a bet. So under cashed super easily. But, like, I just cannot get that week 3 game out of my head because DC was just so dominant. So I am nervous about this game. So I am much more inclined to take the under in this one. Like 46.5, doesn't it sound like it's the highest total of the season since we've been talking about these games?
Yeah.
And in that week 3 game, there were 6 turnovers, which is usually a recipe for an over because you could have some defensive touchdowns, or at the very least you get some, great field position. That game still only got to 42 points. And I look back, go ahead.
This defender defense is not legitimate. Okay, Anthony Beck, they're going to put it on him. They're going to show out in St. Louis. They laid a big stinker last year. Anthony Beck is on a mission. I'm going way over on this total. I think the Battlehawks can take care of the over on this one, baby.
Wow, man.
Here's how I'll handicap this game. If the over hits, it's not good for us. If the under hits, we probably win this game. That's exactly how I would handicap it. We want to under game. We want to run the ball. We want to play good defense. We want to control the tempo of this game. I think we make adjustments from the last time. But when you're hot, you're hot. We're red hot, baby. And they're coming to the Dome. 40,000? It's probably 40,000 people in the Dome rocking. This thing's going to be rocking. We're going to get it done. Just heart alone. This thing's happening. It's happening.
I hope we're both right, because if the under's my lean and you like the Battlehawks, those plays are correlated. It sounds like that you think so. Yeah, I just think the total's a few points too high. So my lean would be under 46.
I love where Tito's at with the over as a fan there. He wants them to blow him out. Come in, it's 45-0. I get where he's at.
All right, guys, let's talk NHL and NBA playoffs because, man, we are getting down to the nitty-gritty right now. Starting tonight, it is game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final in Edmonton with the Oilers and the Panthers. Oilers come in as a -120 favorite here. Panthers a +100 underdog, and the series odds are the exact same as well. The total tonight is at 6.5. The over's at +105, and the under is juiced up to -125. So, Tito, I know we kind of talked about this last week. We've had a few days to kind of mull it over. Do you have a play for us here on either game one or the series?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with my play from last week. I think the series is gonna go 7 games. I think I did find the market for something like that. I think it's at plus 190, where the series is gonna go 7 games. So I like that play a lot. And tonight, I love Connor McDavid. It's in Edmonton. They get the last change, and Edmonton's gonna take advantage of that. And Connor McDavid's gonna be flying around. So give me Connor McDavid with a goal tonight, in the first game. And I like the adjustments that Edmonton has made, with Zach Hyman being out now. Them changing goaltenders, throughout the playoffs. I like those plays. That the coach has really got it locked in. So hopefully they can still make the necessary changes throughout the series, and bring the Stanley Cup back home to Canada for the first time, in Edmonton since 1990.
Yeah, I'm definitely rooting for him. McDavid to score a goal tonight, plus 150 on DraftKings. So like those odds pretty good there. Shawn, what do you think here?
I got this one in pocket. I got over in game one. I know it's juiced at minus 120, but I like the over here. Also, I got another play. You guys know I've been on the puck line most of the playoffs. 11 straight. The winning team has won by 2 or more goals in NHL playoffs. So we're going to go puck line and we're going to get that at Edmonton plus 195. Little taste, half unit on that. So those are 2 plays I like tonight. I do like a long series here, Tito. I think 7 games is a good bet as well. But I like the over a lot tonight. I think the over hits.
Quit saying in pocket, by the way. Big whoop on that term.
It's in my pocket, baby.
Sound like a fraud.
I'm going heads up with Mr. Sharp here. I'm looking on DraftKings, so the over is 6.5. It's plus 102.
Oh, I got it at 6.
Okay, well, you're looking at a different book then, because DraftKings right now, over 6.5 is plus 102. Public is absolutely hammering the over here. I just pulled up, according to scoresandodds.com, 95% of the bets are on the over tonight. So I'm going contrarian, and I like the under 6.5. Besides the fade the public reasoning, I got good historical data on my side here with the under. So unders tend to cash in game one of the Stanley Cup final. The record is 16-8 for the under over the last 24 years, including last year when these teams played in the final of game one, which is 3-0. There were actually 6 or fewer goals scored in 4 of the 7 games in the series last season. So betting over 6.5 was not a profitable venture for bettors. And the last time we had a rematch in the Stanley Cup final, it was in 2009 with the Penguins and the Red Wings. All 7 games went under 6.5 goals. I know it was 15 years ago. I know it was 2 different teams, but I do think it makes sense in theory that when 2 teams are familiar with each other and there's a lot at stake, you can see some tighter, cagier games. So I am all over fading the. I've actually bet this. It's in pocket for me, Tito.
Yeah, it's in pocket.
Just a 1 unit play for me. But give me the under 6.5. I'm going to lay the juice at minus 122. Tito, like, be the decider here. Would you like over or under 6.5 in this one?
Give me the over. I'm not tailing you with unders anymore after I tailed you last weekend with that EPL Champions Game. Big wolf.
Oh God, that was bad. Yeah.
I like the over, but I got it at 6. I got it yesterday at 6. I don't like it at 7 as much. Definitely don't like that hook. But that's why I'm taking the puck line too at Edmonton plus 195, half a unit. I'm kind of covering myself there a little bit.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. Champions League final, my best bet last week, under 2.5. That had cashed in 6 straight Champions League finals, and the final was 5-0 in favor of PSG. It was an absolute beatdown. So yeah, loser in my best bet. I'm actually going to talk about my best bet in this next game. We're going to talk about here, but I'll let you boys go first because tomorrow it's game 1 of the NBA Finals with my Indiana Pacers, who just cashed a plus 2,100 ticket for me to win the Eastern Conference. Like, for real, guys, I'm not saying I'm going to make you rich, but just follow my plays on sportshubstl.com. I am highly confident I'm going to turn a profit for you, like I have already if you've been following me. Pacers, a heavy underdog on the road at OKC in game 1. Thunder come in as a 9-point favorite here. The total is set at 231. Your series odds, OKC, a minus 700 favorite to win the series. The Pacers are at plus 500. So Sean, let's go to you first. Where are you going on for your play in this game?
Yeah, this is disrespect for the Pacers here, minus 700 for series odds. I do like the Pacers plus 500 for the series. I like a little taste on that. I like odds on that. You can shake your head, Tito, but what you can do there is you can put a unit on that at plus 500, and then you can play that through the series, right? We're getting down 3-1. If we're down, we can make that money back. So that's why I like that future market, Tito. You can kind of hedge yourself a little bit. Game one, I don't like anything here. The only way I would bet it is take the Pacers. You know me. I'm never going to lay big numbers like that. 9.5, way too much for me to lay. That ain't for me. That ain't my kind of handicap. I do think OKC can win this whole thing, but I like the Pacers. I like the value at plus 500 for the series. So I'm interested to see what Eric thinks here and Tito.
Yeah, and you are right. It is I just refreshed the line. It is up to 9.5 now for OKC in game one. Tito, what you got here?
Oh, I love the Pacers. Give me the 9.5 points. Rick Carlisle is an absolute rock star of a coach, underrated coach in the NBA. So definitely with those points, give me the points and give me the Pacers. But that plus 500 play for the Pacers with the series, that's a loser, folks. I think Oklahoma City is going to run away with this. They may finish this off in 5 games. They're legit. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren. They got some rock star, bench scorers as well. So I like Oklahoma City with the series. I don't think it's going to be a long series because of the talent level, but I like a player prop play here. I know it's been about a week. I know that what's his name, Neesmith. He kind of hurt his ankle in game 7, maybe, or game 6, or game 6.
Game 3. It's the night I was there. Neesmith
that's
banged up his ankle.
So it's been about a week ever since then. So I see a player prop with the most 3-pointers scored at plus 425. I think Halliburton is the odds-on favorite for that. But give me the most 3-pointers scored in this series for Neesmith at plus what is that? Plus 425. I like that play in this series.
Yeah, threes leader. Yeah, you're right. Halliburton, the threes leader for the series. Again, this is under series player props tab on DraftKings. Yeah, Halliburton's a minus 125 favorite. Neesmith next up at 425. Don't mind that play. Pacers have had a little bit of time off here to get fresh. I think there's some good value on that. So as I mentioned, my best bet is from this game. I'm probably going to surprise you guys here. There's a reason my futures bet was on the Pacers to win the East and not the NBA Finals, because I do not think this is a good matchup for the Pacers. I agree with you, Tito. These are two really good teams where they are really deep. It's not just about one guy. Both teams have 7 players that score in double figures, which is just outstanding. But I feel like OKC is just a better version of the Pacers, and they have the best player in the MVP and SGA. These teams met 2 times this season. OKC won and covered both. They won by 6 at Indy and by 21 at home. So I hate to say this, but I'm with you, Tito. I think this is a short series. I think we got a 5-game series here. I think OKC rolls here in game 1. Sean, I knew you were not going to like this because I know you don't like playing big numbers. And 9.5 is a big number, but this is a great spot for big favorites historically. Home teams in game 1 of the NBA Finals are 16-3 against the spread over the last 2 decades. And also in that stretch of game 1s, favorites of 5 points or more, like OKC is here, are 12-0 straight up in game 1s. And 10 of those 12 wins have been by double digits. So it has been a fun ride for me and the Pacers. I'm still rooting for them, but for game 1, I am fading them. My best bet here on the show, OKC -9. You convinced by that at all, Sean? Probably not.
I just wrote something down. So in pocket, I already got Pacers plus 500 to win it. I like the value here in the finals. I think it's a little bit, the number's too juiced, too high. But I'm going to go ahead and put 1 unit on OKC -9. That way I'm covering my bet there, Tito. That's how that works.
You're in pocket. I'm in pocket. My goodness, Eric, thanks for slapping me in the face with all those fucking stats. My goodness.
It's good numbers.
I don't give a damn. I think the Pacers shocked the world tonight. They take game 1 they take money line. They take it, and then OKC comes back and wins 4 in a row. That's what I think is going to happen. So give me the Pacers tonight, Daddy, or tomorrow.
One thing I did see, both of these teams really get a lot of possessions. I think both of them are in 100 possessions per game. So something's got to give, right? Both of them can't do this. I'm sure OKC, it's going to be rocking there tonight. Eric, tomorrow. Yeah, sorry. What day are we at? Yeah, that number's so high for me. I don't love that, but I hear your numbers, and so I'm going to go ahead and make a 1-unit play on it.
Yep, it's a 2-unit play for me. The under on the NHL game 1 tonight is a 1-unit play for me.
Wow,
so
I
just really the Thunder were the best team in the league for a reason. And I'm not scared of that number when you look at those stats historically for these big favorites in game 1 of the finals. And these teams, it's going to be a fun series. I know it's 2 small market teams. I don't give a shit. These teams play great ball. Your total's 231. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's the narrative from ESPN and the big markets. Every series the Pacers played, they picked them to lose on the big markets. That's all they did. They weren't going to beat this team. They weren't going to beat this team because the narrative is the big markets. I'm with you, Eric. This basketball is great. I talked about it. NBA playoffs have been better without LeBron. This basketball is a better style than 1 versus 5. It just is.
Yep. What about the narrative that you always try to put on me in regards to the NBA is rigged? This is definitely not rigged. When you got Oklahoma City versus Indiana, it's definitely not a rigged league where they're trying to choreograph a finals matchup.
They were for years.
For a few years. Oh, yeah, right. Big woof. Eat some crow on that. The entire show you guys are talking about, follow me, I'm so great, I'm so dynamic. And then when Tito comes over the top, that's supposed to be Tito's stick. Tito's thing is supposed to be, you got to follow me, Daddy. I'm the guy. I know everything. You guys are stealing my thunder. And then when I try to hold you accountable, you just backtrack totally. Big woof to both of you.
I got numbers to back up, baby.
I got to say this really fast. I got 30 seconds. My best bet is the Red Sox money line today, minus 135. I got 1 minute before the pitch starts.
Okay, very good. Before first pitch.
Yes.
Okay. So Red Sox minus 135.
I got that in pocket, Tito.
This show's not going to be posted till later on today, so I don't know why you're saying it. We're 30 seconds. I got the best bet.
It's still transparency. It's still transparent.
I like that. I guess you had to officially grade mine. It is minus 9.5. I have minus 9 in my notes, but the line has moved. So OKC minus 9.5, my best bet. Shawn is on the Red Sox. And Shawn's been hot, by the way. That's been 3 best bet winners in a row on single games. Now, you lost the one with the Padres, over 13.5 wins in the month of May. It fell 1 win short. But for single games, you've won 3 in a row. So hopefully number 4 here. And Mr. Sharp can keep it hot. Tito, it's bounce back time for you, brother. Where are you going for your best bet?
Yeah, it's bounce back. It's time for Tito to pick up the slack a little bit. And you heard me talk about Connor McDavid, how I like him scoring a goal. I like an anytime goal scorer tonight for Connor McDavid, plus 145 as my best bet. So let's see the Oil take care of business tonight, and let's see Connor McDavid cash some bets. I love seeing him fly around. He always seems to have a lot of energy, no matter if it's a third period or the fifth period or double overtime or triple overtime. He's always flying around. So give me Connor McDavid, anytime goal scorer tonight at plus 145.
Yeah, definitely rooting for the Oil to get it done in this series. Yeah, I'm actually down in Fort Lauderdale right now. When I got to the airport and waiting at baggage claim, you got Matthew Tkachuk on the screen, basically promoting people to visit Fort Lauderdale, talking about the no state income tax or whatever it is. Like down here, it's like, I can see why he would love it down here, Matthew Tkachuk. So, but he got his cup last year. It's Connor McDavid's time. Let's go, Edmonton. Let's finish up with our home team plays of the week. These are our favorite plays in the games involving the local teams. I got to be honest, I don't really love anything here, but I'm going to go with the under in the Battlehawks game. I laid out my case earlier. I just think this total is probably 3 or 4 points too high. So my home team play of the week, Battlehawks DC, under 46.5. Tito, where are you going for yours?
Home team play of the week, we're going with the Battlehawks, laying the 3 points. Going to take care of business. Give me the Battlehawks laying the 3 points.
Shawn, is it Redbirds for you, or where are you going for your home team play?
Yeah, I got this one in pocket. I like it a lot. Redbirds is my home team town play. We got Birds minus 125 tonight. I really like that value. A couple other baseball plays I'm on today. Dodgers run line minus 1.5. You can get that at plus 135. I talked about the Red Sox. I like them today at minus 135 money line. Also, I like the over in that Red Sox game at 10. Both pitchers there. I could see a big offensive day. And also something I'm on here, a future. You can find this at DraftKings. Atlanta Braves to make the playoffs. This roster is full of talent. Spencer Strider is going to turn this thing around. So you can get on your prop plays there. I don't know exact odds right now. I got it at plus 135 a few days ago. Atlanta Braves to make the playoffs.
That could be at the expense of the Cardinals, who currently occupy the third and final wild card in the National League. But yeah, like we said, I'm not convinced this is a playoff team. If they can win, if they can finish over 500, I think it's a wildly successful season for the Cardinals.
Agree.
Fair? Yeah.
Yeah. I just think the Braves are so talented. They're going to get this thing going.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, odds to make the playoffs. The Braves are actually plus 165 now to make the playoffs. So you can get a little better price on that. Yeah, I do not mind that play one bit. That's going to do it for today's show. Hit the like button, subscribe to the Sports Hub STL YouTube channel, and leave a comment on this video, and we can chat with you there. Also, most importantly, take just a few minutes, get a quote from James Carlton with State Farm Insurance. I am highly confident that he'll be able to save you money like he did for me and Tito. The phone number is 314-961-4800, or go to carltoninsurance.net. You'll see his info in the YouTube description. For Shawn, for Tito, I'm Eric. This has been Domesticated Gamblers here on Sports Hub STL, presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you next week on Friday.
Let's cash.